I'm too close. We are live. I'm still too close though. Okay, so we got to make sure that we can always see my shame on Lou. Okay, so welcome back to Common Ground, Left and Right Unite. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm Catherine Vitale. I am currently a candidate for Boston City Council at large, and I am a right-leaning activist. I've been an activist for the past 2 years, and this is Heidi.
My name's Heidi Highland, and I am a left-wing activist, and we're on the show for different reasons, but yeah, to find common ground, and what it's all about.
Yeah, so me and Heidi started this show together, doing 3 days a week. 3 weeks ago? At this point now, we're on the third week. And then Heidi had a scheduling conflict. So now Heidi's going to do 1 day a week. Monday nights is going to be Left and Right Unite. Wednesday nights is going to be exposing Massachusetts schools, which is something I just started last week. So that'll be interesting. And then Friday night is just Common Ground with me. So we want to bring on guests and talk about anything. So if anybody ever wants to suggest topics in the comments that you want us to talk about, or if you want to be a guest, or if you would like to see somebody as a guest on here, let us know in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, please comment because that helps the visibility of the video. And like, share, subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I think we're at like 140 something right now. But the next level up is 1,000. So that's what we need. So please share the YouTube, even if you're watching from a different platform. I think most of our viewers come from Facebook. So please go over to the YouTube and subscribe to the channel. It's called People's Press Media. We will also upload videos on this channel and stream live when we're out doing actions sometimes too. Other than that, I usually stream live from my Facebook page because it's way easier. But tonight, me and Heidi decided that we're going to talk about controlled opposition. So do you, Heidi, have like an understanding of what controlled opposition is? Like, do you even use that term over there on your side?
No, I mean, I know what the definition is, I guess, but no, I haven't really given it too much thought.
Yeah. So, so for me, controlled opposition is like a big deal because I feel like controlled opposition is harder to work with, or like not even work with. It's like I feel like it's more dangerous to work with controlled opposition than it is to work with somebody who's on the other side. Right? I'd rather work with a leftist than controlled opposition on the right side because what I have learned to understand about controlled opposition is that it is usually somebody who I would consider controlled opposition is not knowing that they're controlled opposition, right? So I think that a lot of times when we call somebody out for being controlled opposition, or when we say that somebody's controlled opposition, people think that we mean that it's somebody who is knowingly sabotaging or misleading a movement. But I think that the majority of people that I would consider controlled opposition are unknowingly doing these things. So it's basically a person or a group who is sabotaging a movement in the simplest terms possible. There's many ways that a movement can be sabotaged. There's many things that they could do to sabotage it, whether it would be somebody that appears to be like on your side, or fighting for the same thing that you're fighting for, standing up for the same cause that you're standing up for. And I say most of them are unknowingly doing this because there's red flags, right? So there's a lot of different things to look for when you're trying to figure out if somebody is controlled opposition. One of the biggest things is they come in a very organized, organizational type of group. There's usually a lot of them. They can usually garner tons and tons of people or support for one specific event or cause. They have coordinated signs, like they print out, these pre-made signs, and everybody has like the same type of signs, same colors, same lettering, usually the same messages, or maybe like a mix up between like 2 to 4 messages on the signs. They have money is like a big thing, because if you're like a grassroots type of group or person who is just like somebody who's passionate about making a change, and you're out there protesting or doing any kind of public demonstration or giving testimony in hearings or whatever it is that you're doing to fight back, you usually don't have money. Like, this is not a paid job, right? I don't get paid. I don't know if you get paid.
I don't get paid. I use a lot of money on
contrary to popular opinion, I think that some people would speculate that they do think that we get paid. People have speculated that I get paid, and I don't. So these big groups have funding to buy these signs, to have pizza at their events, or porta potties, or it's like anything you see that has some type of professional looking thing, like people that are able to like organize and coordinate security, all kinds of things. That's like, wait a minute, like, where is this funding coming from? Right? So controlled opposition equals members of the uniparty saboteurs. Is that how you say that word? In my opinion, most controlled opposition knows they are controlled opposition. Yeah, I don't think so. That, in my opinion, I don't. Because I think that in order to be controlled opposition, it has to be believable. So, okay, Shannon. No one speculated that I was paid. I had a saboteur trying to undermine me purposely, a jealous party. Right. So that would be a form of controlled opposition that is knowing exactly what they're doing. When people try to purposely sabotage. Controlled op is a trap. Most people do not know they're following tricksters. Yeah, so that's what I think is really dangerous. Because I feel like like on the left side, there's a lot of organizations, right?
I think a lot of different groups, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the left side has a lot of organizations, and on the right side, with this whole recent like medical freedom movement, or medical freedom title, because like nobody's really moving. There's a lot of groups on the right side that say that they're for like health freedom and medical freedom and all of that. And it's people that have been like advocating for keeping like medical and religious exemptions for jabs, like not just the recent one, but all of them, like when you can get an exemption because they're required in schools, So there's bills up in the air that are wanting to remove exemptions to make it so that you can't attend schools without getting these jabs, which would include like the flu one and, the other ones that came way before the recent one. And these people have been working on this for years. So if you've been working on something for years, then I would think that you would have made some progress by now. Otherwise, like, what are you still doing and why are people still funding you? So I just think it's really dangerous, controlled opposition, because it's people that appear to be on your side but are doing things that are not helping the movement and actually keeping things staying still. Like when they'll rally thousands of people to one place on like a night or a weekend. And it's like, why? What disruption are we causing if we're rallying on a night and a weekend when the business is closed, or, you know, the building is closed and there's no officials or elected people or anybody there to be actually addressing, and we're all just like standing in the middle of the street yelling at an empty building, you know? Any thoughts?
I just think it's different tactics. I mean, I don't necessarily think if somebody's yelling at an empty building, it may be controlled ops or anything like that. But I understand what you're saying, that you think it's more effective to disrupt the people while they're at work. I understand that, what you're trying to say there. But
Yeah.
and then what are you saying? You think because there's a lot of different groups that makes it more apt to have controlled opposition? Or
So a big red flag is funding. So if they're being funded, I think 9 times out of 10 they're being funded by the government. So is the government really paying organizations to fight the government? Like, you know, it's like you have to take a step back and say, wait a minute, why is the government funding these people? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why is the government paying people to fight the government? Like, if these people are here to make the government look bad, why are they getting public funding? Doesn't make any sense. There has to be like some underlying agenda there. And that's why I think it's really hard to grasp for a lot of people, because me and some others have been trying to explain this, like, I wouldn't call it a theory, this phenomenon of controlled opposition literally for the past 2 years. And it's like the hardest thing to explain. It's the hardest thing for people to grasp, because it's like when you work with people, you get to know them, you become friendly with them, right? And you're like, no, like, that's my friend, fucking Susan. And you know, she's a nice person and I've been to her house and I know her kids, and like, she is not working against us. And it's like, no, like, not Susan. Susan doesn't know that she's working against you. But because Susan is actively following this group that's rallying her to do a whole bunch of nothing, she's helping to sabotage everything that we're doing. Because if we're like taking action and, you know, direct action, bringing protests to, you know, whoever we're addressing, and then we have like these other thousands of people that are either rallying at the wrong times and the wrong places, or you know, just content with sitting at home and sending emails and making phone calls to legislators, then it's like this whole organization is there specifically to stifle and tame thousands of people, you know. And then they'll, like, I don't know if it's probably not a thing on the left, but on the right, like, we get a lot of shit for protesting. Like, people think that we're like horrible people. They're like embarrassed by us, and you know, they tell people not to work with us because we are embarrassing, or, you know, we're aggressive, or we're too loud. Do you guys have those problems?
I haven't noticed any of that.
Yeah, well, because I feel like it's like the MO of the left to be aggressive and loud. Do you agree?
I don't know about aggressive, but I mean, what's the point of protesting if you're not going to be loud? I mean, that's
right.
The point is to
be loud and
be like disruptive enough that you're getting your point across, or why be there if you're not gonna get the attention on the issues?
Yeah. Oh
I
well.
don't say be aggressive and be an asshole or whatever, but you can still be like loud and creative and get your message across.
I'm in a medical freedom group. They're not controlled op. They're just, as Shannon called it, bringing awareness, but not, as I call it, action aggressive. Okay. Right. Yes, Sean. Weak people would find strong people aggressive. Yeah. So, Charlie Baker controlled opposition. Yeah, but that's like, I mean, in Massachusetts, the whole GOP is controlled opposition because they are Democrats. They're working hand in hand with the Democrats to keep the Democrats in office. So, I mean, that's like kind of above our level. Massachusetts, as far as I'm concerned, is a one-party state. We hardly have Republicans. Like, the Republican Party of Massachusetts is embarrassing. But I mean, it just goes to show, I feel like that's probably the situation for the whole country is politicians are politicians. No matter what, at the end of the day, they are elite and we are not. Hence, left and right uniting to fight the politicians because they're all better than us. So they think.
Yeah. Working class people unite. And poor people.
Working class people unite. That sounds a little communist. Yes, GOP, gangsta owned politicians. I like that. Name a DC Republican who is in control opposition, not just blah blah blah, but who has achieved results in holding criminals accountable. I don't know. That's why I don't buy into the two-party bullshit. I don't vote by party. I don't support by party. I vote according to the person. And I think that everybody should. Even before I knew what I know now, I was enrolled as unenrolled independent, and I voted for people like by their policy, not by their party. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of confusion with trying to talk about controlled opposition because everybody always has the the stance of like, I'll work with anybody as long as they're on my side. Like, if they're fighting for the same thing that I'm fighting for, then I'm going to work with them. And it's like, but they're not. They're literally not fighting for the same thing that you're fighting for. They might say that they are. They might appear to be. But the things that they are doing, if you have large numbers of people being tamed and being rallied to have no effect on anything whatsoever, it's hurting your movement, because then those large groups of people don't want to show up for the stuff that other like real activists are doing that is actually capable of making a difference. And people think that they're fighting when they're really just like showing up for a social event. But I think it's a really hard thing to talk about. Controlled opposition.
I think it's a hard thing to talk about too, and I'm not really relating to it as much as I know you are. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm willing to stand with. It depends on the cause. Even if I really, really, really dislike somebody, I will still stand with them if they are standing for the cause that I'm standing for. And I just think every effort counts, even if they're not making the best progress. Like every little bit counts, I guess.
So it's like I saw a story about a group yesterday that it was in another state. It wasn't even here. It was some national group, and people were saying that like this group has like a pattern. Like they tend to do this a lot where like somebody was having a protest inside of like a city hall or something, and or there was some, or maybe a college or something, because somebody was speaking, so they were protesting the person that was coming to speak, and they were inside the building, and the cops were telling them that they needed to go outside of the building. So like there were a bunch of people that were standing strong and not leaving the building, but then like the organizers of this big group were like telling people like, come on, like let's go, like let's leave the building, blah blah blah. And I think that it's weak and possibly dangerous, sometimes potentially, for disagreements to be had amongst, you know, all these people fighting for one thing. You don't have disagreements in public, right? I think that we can agree on that.
Well, it's not a good look, but yeah, it still happens, but it's not a good look.
Yeah. And it's not a good look to other activists. It's not a good look to the police. It's not a good look to anybody who's watching, because it makes you guys look weak. Not you guys, but like whoever's there. It makes whoever is there look weak, like they don't have control over the situation, and like they're going to be easily broken down. And so that is what happened. Like the group was broken down. A lot of people ended up going outside or even leaving because the organizers were saying, all right, let's go. When what needed to be done was everybody needed to stand their ground and stay inside, because there was no law being broken. And that's another thing that people don't understand, is that when a police officer is giving you an order, they're not your boss. They hold no authority over you. And it's not fighting with the police if you question a police officer when he's giving you an order. It's, you're right. If a police officer tells you to get on this was an example used by Karina at a protest we were at in 2021. If a police officer tells you to get on the ground and do push-ups, like, are you just supposed to do it because a police officer ordered you to? No. So if a police officer is giving you an unlawful order, you don't have to do what he's telling you to do. You can ask him why. And that's not a bad thing. We should be questioning authority. But these big groups either are scared of losing funding, or don't want to look bad, or look like they're trying to fight with the police or fight with whatever members of authority are telling them to do something, when in reality, like, I think that the most effective part of protesting is pushing it to the exact limit without breaking the law. That's like the whole point, I think. And if you're not breaking a law, then why are you just going to go away just because the cops told you to? Like, if there's no lawful reason for them to tell you to go away, then stand your ground, right? I don't know. The point of control op is to corral everyone to efforts where they're absolutely not going to affect anything. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, kind of getting off that topic a little bit. Did you see the video from the Newton drag queen thing, the conversation that was had with Spider?
Yes. Yes, I did. Well, I guess all I can say is thank you, Spider, because you showcased exactly what I've been talking about. Um, Anybody that thought I might have been being paranoid can just exactly see what is going on. And I don't get it. Um, I'm an activist that's standing out for Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, many other causes. So I don't understand why somebody else who's standing for those same things would want to try to, what's the word? Like tarnish my name, especially with things that are not true. Um, it just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of people that have done me wrong, and I'm not out blasting their names and telling lies about them. Because I think their work is important and I want them to continue to stand for the things that I also stand for, even though I don't care for those people. And I think it's sad. And I really don't understand when Catherine was talking to you, you were at an event in support of the LGBTQ community, but you're not part of that. Just like I'm not part of that. You are not part of the LGBTQ community by your own admission. And then Catherine told you that she is a member of that community. And you proceeded to tell her that she's anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ. It's like the only thing I can compare it to is if I was sitting here on a show with a person of color and I'm telling them that they're racist. It's just I just don't get it. I don't understand the anger. Like, she was trying to have a conversation with you and you don't have to agree with her, but like just to keep saying F you, and then bringing up this false allegation of her and I had a conversation. Well, we were doing a show and she was talking about a transgender person and how would you know somebody's pronouns unless the person tells you? A person could appear to be male and want to be having like she, her pronouns. So you don't know somebody's pronouns unless that person tells you. So what is the harm when she said he or she? I'm not sure how they identify. I don't understand how that's anti-trans because she wasn't making a joke about it. She was just truly like kind of stumbling, like almost not wanting to say the wrong thing, like he or she, I'm not sure how they identify. I don't know how that is anti-trans, and I don't understand how I am anti-trans because I didn't immediately call her out and say you are being anti-trans. I am not part of the LGBTQ community. I'm a straight person, and Catherine is part of the LGBTQ community. So I don't
Doesn't
get
make
all
any
this.
sense.
Yeah, it's not making sense, and why? And I don't understand why you would want to. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you didn't watch it. Maybe you're just going by somebody else's words, and maybe the person that's leading this smear campaign against me has told you things that are not true, and you haven't looked at them for yourself. But it's just not cool. It's just not cool. But I do thank you for showcasing the smear campaign that is going on against me so people can see clearly and the false allegations, and you had nothing to back it up besides F you, F you, F you, F you. You had nothing to back it up. Um and I don't like fighting with people on my side. I don't like fighting with people on the left. That's why the people, there are a few of them that are blocked. No, I don't want those blocked people on my page. I have one page. I'm only on Facebook and I only have one page. I don't have 10 like some other people. And my family's on that page. My neighbors are on that page. My kids' friends' parents are on that page. I don't need people like the woman that is running this smear campaign posting all kinds of crap so that my family and friends think they have to back me up or speak up for me and say something in my defense, and therefore then the people go after them. because that is what was happening, and that is why those people are blocked, and that is why they will stay blocked.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
So I feel like that happens a lot on both sides where, like, as far as my conversation with Spider goes, um, obviously I see or have seen it happen more coming from the left. Maybe you've seen it happen more coming from the right because of our different perspectives, where, you know, there'll be one of those heated arguments or conversations between somebody on the left and somebody on the right, where it's like, you know, the people talking to me, the people on the left talking to me will tell me that I'm racist, but I'm standing here with my black friend, you know, and I'm anti-LGBTQ, but I am LGBTQ, and you know, this is exactly what happened with Spider, and this has happened many fucking times, and then, you know, vice versa, we will have people on the right telling the leftists that they're anti-American, or, you know, that they hate white people because they have a Black Lives Matter flag, and like, they are white, or, you know, or like, it's it's just like, you, this is how we got here. Like, we're all so lost in labels and trying to figure somebody out before we've even spoken to them, and perpetuating this stupid war between the people,
Yeah.
that the government has drawn upon us, that when these heated arguments happen, like, they don't even make sense.
That's when they want to get rid of you, when you are not acting in accordance to the way the certain people feel you should be acting. I feel like it's just a it could be a number of things that they could say. They, if you're a man, they could accuse you that you raped somebody. They could say that you're racist. They could say that you're anti-LGBTQ, or they could resort to saying you're a fed, or that you're a snitch and you work with the police. It's like along those lines of the things they use to attack people, to try to discredit them, try to ruin their name so other people won't work with them. And like, you can disagree with what I'm doing, but I don't understand why you would want to make it so other people who wouldn't want to work with me when we're working on the issues that we're supposed to all support. Like, you don't know my life. Like, I'm here for a reason. Catherine's here for a reason. I have an adult son. He is right wing. He wants to be a police officer. Um, I was very close minded when I began in activism. My best friend since preschool, a Trump supporter, anti vax. I canceled a lot of people out, and um, I'm regretting it. And I'm just like trying to find a way to still do activism and find a way to get along with these people, because I should say these people, but trying to get along, because we shouldn't be at war with each other, and we're not going to get anywhere like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just it's very unfortunate.
It is. And it is a huge distraction from any fight for any cause. And it just, it makes outsiders looking in, like people who aren't activists, people who might be thinking about becoming an activist, or even just, you know, I feel like a lot of like regular people have trouble with labeling themselves activists, because they think that there's some kind of special thing that you have to do to be called an activist or something. I don't know. But you know, when they see stuff like that, it makes it very unappealing. It makes people like not want to get into these things, because who wants to just like stand there and argue with some other person, where nobody's looking for any common ground. You're just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Like, I thought that the whole point was to, I mean, the whole point on the left side is diversity, equity, and inclusion, to be inclusive of all people, to accept people for who they are, all of that. The point on the right side is to be proud to be an American, to accept people, you know, um, and show that, the right side is not as hateful as the left side tries to depict us. But then when we get in each other's faces, we both look like idiots because, the right side, you're not showing anybody that you are accepting of them while you're screaming in their face, and vice versa on the left. You're not showing that, you're so inclusive when you're pushing me out of or telling me that I'm against my own community. You know, John said, ask Heidi about First Amendment and what it means. Does she agree with police response to you, Shannon, etc.? Actually, John, she has been to our court dates, a few of them. So, I mean, Heidi's an activist, and that was, one of our main issues that we could find common ground on, was that the First Amendment and violations to the First Amendment affect everybody. So,
restrictions
Heidi,
on protesting, restrictions and mandates on protesting affects all of us. Like, maybe it's affecting, in that case, it was affecting the people that were standing out in front of WOOs at that time. But a mandate's a mandate. It's going to affect everybody down the line, and people just let it happen because they just want to.
If any group or any person, activist, or somebody who's just expressing their First Amendment rights, if any person or group goes down in court for a First Amendment issue, it's going to affect us all. Left side, right side, gay, straight, black, white, activist, regular person. The First Amendment affects us all. No matter what the case is, we should all be behind any type of First Amendment issue.
So, popped up on the screen something. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, she's referring to when I was misgendering.
Yeah, so if I giggled or laughed and it was taken the wrong way, I have to watch it again. I always giggle and laugh, so
I do too.
Sorry. And wasn't meant to laugh at that person. If you watch the show, you will see me giggling and laughing at a lot of things. It just wasn't meant towards that person. So, and I'm sure, Catherine, you didn't mean it to laugh at the person.
So, no, but also, like, to be completely transparent, I don't like, people's feelings are like the last thing on my mind when I'm saying anything. So, as maybe that sounds heartless to you, I don't know, but I mean, I grew up like not letting other people's words affect me. And that's how I'm raising my children. And I think that that's just like a wise way to think, is to not let other people's words affect you. So, like, even just the concept of like it being a horrible thing to call somebody by the wrong pronouns, I just can't I don't feel the same, like I don't have that type of sentiment. Like,
I think some people have more empathy than others. I just think like people it's not an insult. I think some people are born with more empathy than other people are, and they care more about other people's feelings, and some people are able just to not have it affect them so much.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to put this up here because I just do think it's important just to clarify it. Yeah. Well, I can tell you only from my own point of view. Yes, I laugh sometimes when I'm nervous. I laugh all the time at different things, and I was not laughing at that person, but apparently got taken down.
I do too. And probably more so me, because this is not a regular conversation that happens amongst me and the people that I associate with. Like, we don't I don't really know anybody that cares about pronouns. So it's just not like a usual thing for me to talk about.
So nerve-wracking because like we're here live. So like if we mess up, we're gonna mess up in front of everybody. And it's like we're having these uncomfortable conversations. We're coming from different, it's not Heidi and Catherine, we're doing a show and we agree with each other, whatever we're saying. It's like we don't agree with each other, but we're trying to civilly go through it and find where we can agree on certain things. We're trying to find that common ground. And yeah, so it is a little, when you're talking about touchy subjects, and especially if you don't know the right pronoun to use. And I do believe you were trying to go around that when you were leading up to that. You kept saying teen or something like that. You didn't want to say a pronoun. I forget exactly, but I think you might have said a teenager. So I really don't believe you did that to make fun of anybody. And and I don't understand with where this is coming from. People saying it's anti-LGBTQ. You are part of the community.
I am. Which I hate.
Which you said publicly, not like spreading.
No, right, but it's so uncomfortable for me. Not because I'm ashamed of who I am, but because I don't understand why we need to talk about who we have relations with. Like, why? Why is that not a private thing between us and whoever the relation is with? You know, like, I just think it's ridiculous that it's such a huge topic of conversation that everybody wants to have. Like, stop worrying about who's in my bed because I'm not worried about who's in yours.
To each their own.
You know, like when I talk about it with myself, like, I'm awkward and I'm uncomfortable because I don't want to talk to strangers about my sex life. Like, it's not a natural thing. It's supposed to be something that's sacred in between you and your partner.
Another point I want to bring up, Hi is laughing at crime now. I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed the same thing, when we're on the show and we're laughing and we seem to be getting along well and we have this friendship, even though we're from different, political beliefs, people get annoyed. They're like, why aren't you like calling her out and telling her this and like being harder on her, being mean to her? I'm like, that's not the point of the show.
Same.
It's like, I'm not here for that. Like, I know you have your reasons for being here. Mine is to find peace because I need to find peace.
Yeah. And I mean, mine is to like give people an example of what it looks like when two people don't agree on things, but they still can be friends and, debate or go back and forth. Maybe you educate me, I educate you. There's some topics that I know more about that you don't, and there's some topics that you know more about that I don't. We can educate each other. And if we if we still disagree after the conversation, then we still disagree. But that doesn't mean that we're horrible fucking people. It means that we just don't see something the same way.
And we don't have to be disrespectful about it. Like, it's like kind of setting an example of how people can talk to each other and disagree and still like not freak out and be like, F you, F you, F you.
Yeah. So yeah. So
thank you for bringing up the points of what you said.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, random fan. But yeah, we just don't have to hate each other. Like, I feel like, I mean, I don't know how it was for you growing up on the North Shore, if that's where you grew up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I grew up in Boston, and we were like programmed to not talk about politics or religion or like things that people tend to get into heated debates about. So it's like, I feel like we got to where we are now because we spent decades not talking about these things.
I honestly never cared. I never could care less. I didn't care about the news. I remember growing up, my parents just telling me, you vote Democrat because you vote for the poor people.
Yes,
And that's all I ever did.
exactly. Because we were brainwashed and programmed. Like, vote Democrat because that's who is for the people. And that's it. Don't ask any questions. And here we are, thinking that the Democrats are for the poor people and the Republicans are for the rich people. And it's not that at all. They're all for themselves. And we're all just in this perpetuated cycle of being the lower class. Like, there isn't even a middle class. There's poor and then there's poorer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nobody's fucking business. I don't want to talk about it. um Words make me sound crazy. I would need a handler or an earpiece with normie dialogue. I have a blowhorn though. Are you in Massachusetts, random fan? We always need people with bullhorns since ours gets stolen. Did your bullhorn get stolen?
Surprisingly, no. They did not take the bullhorn away from me. But I do have to get another one. I gave it away because my car wasn't working very well. So I wasn't getting out as much as I should. So I gave it to somebody that was out every day.
Yeah. 2 of mine were stolen. I just bought a new
You
one.
never got them back still?
I haven't. I went down there and tried to get them back one time, but apparently there's a process to getting your things back, and I haven't followed through with the process yet. It's not going downtown Boston is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. Who knows if even in one piece they could have broken them.
I know, or they could have bugged them.
Anything's possible.
But yeah, so
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. On an ending note, I like to say, like, you don't have to agree, and I'm talking to like people. You don't have to agree with what I'm doing. You don't have to understand it, but I don't understand why we have to bash each other's efforts. Like, I'm not trying to bash your efforts. Just don't try to bash mine.
Yeah. Unless you're controlled opposition. Then fuck off. Not you. But yeah, we don't subscribe to groupthink. Just because you're on my side doesn't mean that I have to think everything exactly the same as you.
Yeah, because if we're not safe to disagree, I mean, you're just going to have a bunch of robots that are afraid to speak up, just like blindly following each other. I mean,
yeah, and that happens. That has been happening for a while because I've interacted with plenty of people on the left that are anti-vax.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't say it publicly because they don't want to align with the white supremacists. Like, so like you could be fighting for an important cause, but you're not because you don't want to look like you're standing with the wrong people. And that brings me back to my conversation with Spider when he said that that was the third thing. So he said, I'm anti-LGBTQ. I debunked that by saying I am LGBTQ. And then he said I'm racist. And my black friend that was with me, who's with me right now, actually, debunked that for me. And then the third thing was that I promote fascism. So I think I'm actually wondering if some of the followers on the left, like some of the people who are maybe not organizers, but they show up to everything, maybe they need like a memo of like what fascism is, because as far as I know, fascism is like, I'm gonna fuck up this word, totalitarian like dictatorship, right? That's what fascism is. So where I think that people on the left just think that Republicans are like wanting to be dictators or are dictators or whatever, maybe because of like the abortion topic or like same-sex marriages, stuff like that, like they want to control your life. But which I get, but at the same time, people on the right say that about people on the left, because you know, if you're for a jab mandate, then you're for the government controlling us, you know? So it's like, at this point, we're both calling each other fascists. And the only fascists are the politicians. And I think that the vast majority of us on all sides are against fascism.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to him too. I'm like, I'm anti-fascism. Like, so I can't relate. It's like I feel like fascism is another one of those words like racist that has been so watered down by everybody using it all the time that it like doesn't even really have a meaning anymore.
Right. It's just like one of those go-to, I'm going to call you this, I'm going to call it that. Doesn't work, I'm gonna say you that. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to say you this, whatever I need to say.
And when that doesn't work, fuck you. Fuck you. Oh, he said, get fucked.
Yeah. Nice.
It's fine. It's fine. When you've resulted to get fucked or giving me the finger or body shaming me or talking about my appearance, then I know I've won the argument. Yeah. So yeah, he also said that John Brown would have shot me because I would have been somebody to own slaves. And I mean, that's kind of crazy. I think that a lot of people owned slaves, so who fucking knows? But to say that I should be shot, I don't know. I think he was just like grasping for straws at that point. I think people need to just like come down to reality and remember that we're all humans. We all have feelings. We all are going to be passionate about something at one point or another.
Yeah.
So, and we all are perpetuating everything by continuing to fight with each other because the government is getting away with actual crimes against humanity. And
this is what they want. They want us fighting.
Yeah, they want us to fight each other.
Yeah.
We're more concerned about Catherine and Heidi getting along than we are about, forced jabs and police brutality and whatever cause it is that we're fighting, we're too busy fighting about two mothers trying to find common ground. Sounds a little ridiculous to me.
Oh, very ridiculous. Yeah.
And that too, the aggressive men, I think something needs to be said about the aggressive men taking their shit out on women on both sides, because I've been screamed in the face by men on the left, and I've been reprimanded for crossing lines by men on the right. And I don't know. It's just a bunch of pussy ass shit.
And then people get mad too because they think, oh, I'm representing the left or this or that, and then they get pissed about that. I'm not representing anybody but myself here. Like I am left. You can't say I'm not because you don't like me. You don't get to kick me out. I am left. I'm not going anywhere. And but I am only representing myself here. I'm not representing anybody else. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You don't like what I'm doing? Don't worry about it. Doesn't involve you. And don't try to.
I would say the opposite of fascism is freedom. Constitutional republic, which is what this country is supposed to be. Melissa, I'm not trying to be smart, but it's hard to be against the government while on government assistance, if that makes sense. So first I want to ask you, Melissa, are you for the government? Like, do you consider yourself on the side of the government? And then being on government assistance, it's already 11 o'clock, so we're not going to get into my life story right now, but I've said it plenty of times that I'm on food stamps, welfare, Section 8, blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows my life story. And I talk about my experiences so that people know that I'm familiar with these things. So I have no problem talking about it. But I started working when I was 16. And most of the time having two jobs. Back in 2020, I worked 7 days a week while I was living in a shelter. I was homeless with my kids. And so I feel like I have firsthand experience to be able to explain to anybody who wants to try me about government assistance and how it is structured in a way to keep poor people poor. There's no way out. You can't, unless you're hardcore cheating the system, which is really fucking hard to do. And they started the drug epidemic to break up the family, to put men in jail. You know, they perpetuate it with big pharma and doctors and, you know, prescribing narcotics, blah, 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 you know, other things that will get me banned from posting on YouTube. So, like, there's so many factors that go into how a mother ends up being a single mother on welfare. So many factors, you know, and the way that's the best I can explain it, like to not go into the details of my life history, is that it is structured to keep people content with being poor. The more free shit the government gives you, the easier it is to say, I don't need to get a job. Like, I'm just getting by, you know, I'm able to be home all day, not stress myself out over a job. Why work if the government's paying me to stay home, right? It's like a catch-22. It's like if you make $1 over whatever they say that you're allowed to make, they cut you off. If you, if you're on Section 8 and you have any income, they're going to make you pay a third of your income toward your rent. It's like as soon as you start trying to stand on your own 2 feet, they take something away from you. So I'm against big government. I think the government needs to get out of our homes and back the fuck off. And that's not going to happen because we are being so conditioned, and we've been so conditioned over the past couple of decades to their free shit that they're giving us, but to ridicule the government while reaping the benefits. Because it's, I'm trying to find like a metaphor or an analogy.
Why can't you point out the corruption? Like, I know,
your taxes from when you were working paid to it.
like, you have your goals. Like, I personally, I'm not against
Also, you have to
it.
survive.
I want to
It's
weed
not
out
just
the
ideology.
corruption.
Materially, you have to
The
survive.
corruption in the government. I don't want to overturn anything. I just want to weed out the corruption. But what is the problem with saying that there is corruption? What is the problem with this saying that there are problems in our government that need to be fixed? And I don't think
So here's the thing. So let me tell you this, right? When I was living in a shelter in 2017, my kid's father was in a jail or a drug program or something like that. He got out. He's a heroin addict. He had a little bit of clean time under his belt. He was going to get out, go get a job, and, you know, we were going to be together as a family unit to get out of shelter living and to get into our own apartment. We applied for him to come live in the shelter with us because he got out of the program that he was in and needed a place to live. We had 2 children together. They denied him coming into the shelter with us, and their reason was because we couldn't prove that he was any kind of necessity to our family. So he had to go live in the street and sleep in project hallways, which eventually led to a relapse. Because how are you getting a job and how are you staying clean when you're sleeping in a project hallway? You know, it's not realistic. It's not easy. You know, anybody who's ever dealt with a drug problem or with somebody with a drug problem, you know, one of the biggest factors is stabilization. It's the biggest factor. If you get out of a drug program and there's nowhere for you to go, what did you do the drug program for? You're back out on the street. The easiest thing to do is go get high, because then it just makes everything go away. You know? So from there, that's where the system's fucked up. They want to tear apart families. They want to remove the father from the family and then make the mother dependent on the government. Because guess what happens when you're dependent on the government? First of all, you're voting for them. You're keeping them in their jobs because they're giving you tons of free shit, right? So they have your votes. You are eating the specific food that they tell you that you can eat. You're seeing the specific doctors that they have contracts with hospitals and clinics and everything. You can only see their doctors. When you're on government health insurance, you can't see a holistic doctor. You can't choose natural medicine because guess what? Government insurance does not cover holistic doctors and natural medicine. Why? Because natural medicine has cures. Pharmaceutical medicine just keeps you sick. And as long as you stay sick, they have a customer for life. So it's like there's many, many factors going into how the government is screwing us by giving us free shit, you know? And it's like, you know, it's like living in your parents' basement. Like, yeah, great. You don't have to pay rent, you know, you don't have as many bills as the average person, but if they give you a curfew, you have to abide by that curfew or you're out. You know, if they say that you need to clean the dishes, you need to clean the dishes. So it's like the government is our parent. And if they're giving you these benefits, they're controlling you. They, you know, they are asking you questions. They're in your home. They are invading your privacy. Like, we have a very diluted understanding of what privacy is and what the Fourth Amendment gives us. Like, we have God-given rights to our privacy. And we don't even know that because we're so used to government intervention in our lives already. We've been programmed to think that this is normal and that this is what freedom looks like. This is not what freedom is supposed to be. The government is not supposed to be tracking every single thing we do. They're not supposed to be in our homes like this. Like, we are supposed to be free. This is not freedom. So as long as you're getting their benefits, they have a fucking hold on you. Okay. If you're, we have a rabbi who doesn't vaccinate his children, wanted to get other opinions for a surgery that his daughter may or may not have needed. And, went to like a holistic doctor after going to Children's Hospital, and DCF ended up coming after him and trying to take his kids because their kids aren't vaccinated, because they wanted a second opinion before putting their daughter through surgery. Like, if you don't think exactly the way that they want you to think, they turn you into a criminal. So they literally control everything about your life when you're getting their benefits. So yeah, I'm going to ridicule the fuck out of them because, obviously mine and my kids' father's decisions, bad decisions, were what got us into the situation that got us, that we were in. But by trying to use the system for what it's supposed to be meant for like transitional assistance, we got screwed because at every single corner we tried to turn, they were breaking us apart. And that's the whole point of the way that these assistance programs are structured, is to break the family apart and make the family dependent on the government. Because as long as you're dependent on them, you have to do what they say, no matter what the fucking issue or topic is or whatever. But that just means time to step up. Yes. Time to step up and what? Be forced to put my children into school that I don't agree with, that I don't want to send them to. So go against my values and what I think is best for my children to make $1 so that I can have a life for my family. This is exactly how we got to where we are today with everything that's happened in the past 3 years, is by everybody, all of these working people struggling to make $1. Like, please tell me, what is normal about dropping your kid off to a stranger every day? Why do we normalize that? Why do we think that it makes more sense to have your kids be with strangers for 50 hours out of the week rather than to be at home with their parents? I don't think that that's normal. I think that's actually neglect, to just drop your kids off to strangers every day. I wasn't looking at the comments. You live with kids in a shelter? Yeah, I lived in a shelter in 2014. I lived in a shelter in 2017, and then I lived in a shelter from 2019 to 2021. They're paying your bills. They won't back off. Exactly. So, I mean, if you're perfectly fine with the government having complete control over you, and you think that that's what freedom should look like, then this is an issue that we're not going to agree on. I'm not okay with that because I was born into a free country where my rights are God-given. We have a constitution to protect us from dictatorship. So when the government is controlling everything that I do, controlling what doctors I can see, controlling what type of education my children get, controlling where I can shop, controlling what types of food I can buy, that would be fascism. That would be dictatorship. So if we're anti-fascism, why are we okay with fascism? I have excellent insurance and it doesn't cover natural medicine aside from chiro and acupuncture. Most natural medicine doesn't take insurance. Exactly. Because natural medicine has cures. Once again, I'm not trying to get banned. Let me not talk about that. Individuals on government assistance who see shrinks, government gets most of the info. Counselor has to fill out a form after the first visit that has questions. Even the counselor doesn't know yet, and they want a diagnosis first visit. Right. Like I've seen, I've gone to a doctor for one issue and then they tell me that like I need medication for something else. Like I don't think I've ever been to a doctor where they didn't want to give me medication. And medication's not always the answer. Actually, now I think that it's never the answer. But if we're being realistic and talking to people who believe in doctors, medicine's not always the answer. Just for now, there are resources out there. I didn't say strangers get private health care. Well, I was saying strangers as in like schools, teachers, like people that you don't know watching your kids all day. I disagree, respectfully.
I think each parent knows what's right for their kids. So
right. And
we have to respect each other. Like, you know what's right for your kids. I know what's right for mine.
Yeah. And I wish that or I hope that eventually a common ground thing could be parental rights and us agreeing that we are, we own our children. Those are our people until they turn 18. We are who knows best for them. And the more ways that the government finds to sneak in and regulate how we're raising our children, the less parental rights we have and the less freedom we have. Destruction of family and indoctrination camps, schools are part of Agenda 2030 and one of the definitions of fascism. Yep. That's why I don't depend on the government anymore, because I would like as little government interference as possible. Right. I agree. But when they're throwing free shit at people all the time, it becomes very easy for people to want to continue to get free shit. Why work 40 hours a week when you could potentially get the same amount of money by having a kid and being on welfare?
I don't think people have kids to be on welfare, but I do think different circumstances, like if you're a single parent or I don't know, could be so many different situations why you would need government assistance. And I don't think they give you that much that it's so appealing that you would be, people that are on it, they need it. And I don't think they should be shamed. And, I just don't think we should shame each other for
private child care. But what if you can't afford it? It's very expensive. You could get a voucher from the government, but then they choose who you can send your kids to and who you can't. No matter what, if you're getting benefits from the government, then they are making the decisions for you. So that's why I hate government assistance, and I'm completely dependent on it because of the poor choices that I've made in my life. I never planned on ever being on government assistance. Like I said, I worked since I was 16 years old. This was never something that I wanted to do. My parents weren't on government assistance. My parents worked. I was a snob and looked thought that I was better than that before I had kids and ended up in the situation that I ended up in. I never planned on being here. Right, but it's doing the right thing. I have a child with disabilities and they throw free shit at me all the time. To be clear, I'm not trying to shame anyone.
Okay.
Yeah. You can make it work if you want to. I would get paid way more money if I stayed home. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's so much about the money. Like you have to do what's right for your kids.
Yeah. I'm less concerned with money and material things than I am about the well-being of my children. So, and I actually, people like to speculate about me not having a job since they've been trolling me for the past year or so. I was working last year for 2 months and ended up having to quit the job because I didn't have people to help me watch my kids. And I also have DCF still actively trying to take my kids away. So, government. Not to mention the fact that I was arrested 3 times last year over absolutely nothing for exercising my First Amendment rights. So, that's why I do what I do, and that's why I try, significantly more than others to unite the left and right, because First Amendment issues, constitutional issues, affect everybody. So, I don't know. I really appreciate the conversation, Melissa. I know. That's hard. I appreciate the conversation. I love it when leftists, I don't know if that's what you call yourself, if that's what you identify as, join in the conversation, because these are streaming off of my platforms, and I feel like most of the audience so far has been people on the right. So I really appreciate when leftists chime in to give their point of view.
Yeah, I think Melissa brought up a lot of good discussion.
Yeah. Maybe we can have Melissa on the show sometime.
Yeah.
Or maybe we can meet in person.
That'd be awesome.
How old are your kids? Maybe we could have a play date. Who knows? You can tell me to calm down. It's fine.
Oh,
yeah, so it's 11:20.
Yeah.
And I think that we had a really good conversation today.
Yeah.
How far away, Melissa? I travel. I just got back from New Hampshire 15 minutes before I got on the screen.
Oh, 5 hours.
Huh?
5 hours.
Oh, okay. Well then. North, west, south, which way? Yeah, so I don't know. Am I gonna see you tomorrow?
Oh yeah, there's a rally. Yes, I'm hoping to be able to go as long as my husband will be with my kids. I don't do babysitters or anything like that. So me and my husband work opposite shifts. So as long as he's here, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
North.
So like New Hampshire-ish. Or no,
Is that
5
Maine?
hours. Maine.
Maine, Vermont, maybe. I don't know. Or is that the That's so
Who
bad.
knew?
I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know.
Okay, well, unless anybody has anything to add in the comments, if anybody's in Boston tomorrow, hit us up because there is a rally tomorrow that I'm not going to talk about on here. So we can let you know if you want to join. And I don't know. I think we're done here.
Yeah, I think it was
If we
a
have
good conversation. So,
Yeah.
night,
So
everybody.
I'll be back on Wednesday at 10 to talk about schools. If you have any stories about things that you want to expose happening in schools in Massachusetts, let me know. Or if you want to come on the show to talk about it, let me know. And then me and Heidi, me and Heidi will be back next Monday for Left and Right Unite.
Hey,
Thanks for watching.
good night.
Bye.
Bye.